Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let us continue with our tafsir of Surah An-Nisaa bihawlillahi wa quwwatih. We are on ayah number 141. قال الله تعالى الذين يتربصون بكم فإن كان لكم فتح من الله قالوا ألم نكن معكم وإن كان للكافرين نصيب قالوا ألم نستحوذ عليكم ونمنعكم من المؤمنين فالله يحكم بينكم يوم القيامة ولن يجعل الله للكافرين على المؤمنين سبيلا. This ayah is talking about the hypocrites. It says, those who يَتَرَبَّصُونَ بِكُمْ, wait and watch for you, meaning to say they are waiting and anticipating some calamity to befall you so as to sadden you and give you grief. And the ayah says, if you enjoy a fath, a victory from Allah, meaning against your enemies, they will say, meaning the munafiqun will say, were we not with you? So they're saying, we are on your side, so give us some of the war booty. On the other hand, the ayah says, if the kuffar have a nasib, meaning a share, as in a share of victory, such as what happened in the battle of Uhud, the munafiqun would say to the kuffar, did we not gain authority or mastery over you? And did we not protect you from the believers, meaning from the Muslims? So that is to say, did we not help you in secret and weaken the Muslimin until you, O kuffar, became victorious? So, in other words, the munafiqun are telling the kuffar, because we gained authority over you, we were able to protect you from the believers. And they are saying this to strengthen their relationship with the kuffar. Then Allah says that Allah will judge on Yawm al-Qiyamah between you, meaning between the Muslims and the munafiqeen. And then he ends by saying that Allah will not give the kuffar a way over the Muslimin. Now there are various interpretations to this. One interpretation, narrated from Ali radiallahu anh, is to say that this refers to Yawm al-Qiyamah. The kuffar will not have the upper hand over the Muslimin on Yawm al-Qiyamah, even if they could have the upper hand over the Muslimin in this world. And the reason they say that is because this piece of the ayah comes right after mentioning Yawm al-Qiyamah. Another opinion is that the ayah refers to this world, but it refers to hujjah, or argumentation, and proofs, so that Allah Jalla wa Ala will never give the kuffar a cogent argument and proofs and evidence to support the kufr beliefs over and above the Islamic beliefs. A third opinion on this matter says that Allah Jalla wa Ala will never allow the kuffar to completely wipe out the believers and establish the word of kufr in the Muslim lands. And the proponents of this opinion take their support from the authentic hadith, where the Prophet asked Allah Jalla wa Ala not to wipe out his ummah with a drought, nor to allow the enemies to overtake and control the Muslim lands. And Allah Jalla wa Ala granted him this dua. A fourth opinion on the matter says that Allah Jalla wa Ala will not allow his sharia to be wiped off the face of the earth and be replaced by the kufr sharia. A fifth opinion on the matter is to say that Allah Jalla wa Ala will not give the kuffar any authority, neither military, nor political, nor ideological, over the Muslimin, unless the Muslimun themselves leave off practicing their deen. The proponents of this opinion take their evidence from certain ayat of the Quran, for example, مَا أَصَابَ مِن مُصِيبَةٍ فَبِمَا كَسَبَتْ أَيْدِيكُمْ, whatever of affliction befalls you, then it is from what your own hands have earned. And other evidence like the hadith about the Ina, and how Allah Jalla wa Ala will humiliate you until you return back to your deen. Now, of these 5 opinions, the first 4 do not suffer from any objection. The 5th one does, because we can clearly see that the kuffar are stronger than the Muslimin politically, economically and militarily. However, the 5th opinion is more comprehensive than the previous 4, and the 5th opinion would be valid, but we would need to add the proviso and say that this is the case as long as the Muslimin themselves do not mess up the situation by disobeying Allah Jalla wa Ala and leaving His deen, in which case Allah will give the kuffar authority over the Muslimin. So, reflecting on this ayah, we learn of the evil inner convictions of the munafiqeen is that they are simply waiting for calamities to befall the Muslimin. And this is the case with the kuffar today as well. And this is the true sign of enmity. We also learn the two-faced nature of the munafiqeen is that they want to befriend both sides, the Muslimin and the kuffar, so that they can be safe from both parties. So they try to play both sides. And this shows you how weak the munafiqeen are, because the strong person takes a stand. Whether you're with him or against him, he draws the line in the sand and takes a stand and is firm on his position. As for the munafiqeen, they are swinging like a pendulum. They do not have any position of their own. And this is a sign of weakness, that you're just easily swayed. We also notice that the kuffar can have some victory over the Muslimin, such as the Battle of Uhud, but it is nothing long-lasting or anything which would make a permanent impression. He uses the word nasib, which means a portion, and yet for the Muslimin he uses the word fathun, which means victory. So fathun is much more emphatic than just nasib. So the kuffar will have some portion of victory, but nothing major. Ultimately, the victory is with the Muslimin. We also find a trait of the munafiqeen is that they remind people of their favors. Look how they're telling the kuffar, did we not overcome you and protect you from the believers? Therefore give us a share of the war booty. And this idea of reminding people of the favors you've done to them is an evil action. We also learn that Allah Jalla wa Ala is going to be the sole and unique judge on Yawm al-Qiyamah. And we also learn that He is not going to grant victory on Yawm al-Qiyamah to the kuffar above the Muslimin when He judges between them. The victory will be with the Muslimin, as He says that He will not grant away to the kuffar over the Muslimin, according to one of the tafasir that we mentioned. Ayah number 142. Inna al-munafiqina yukhadi'una Allah wa huwa khadi'uhum wa idha qamu ila as-salati qamu kusala yura'una an-nasa wa la yadhkuruna Allah illa qalilan. Again, this ayah continues the theme of the munafiqeen. He says they deceive Allah, yukhadi'una. Now, of course, it is impossible to deceive Allah Jalla wa Ala, but what He intends here is that from the standpoint of view of the munafiqeen, they think they are deceiving Allah Jalla wa Ala, in accordance with their corrupt intellect, of course. But He says that He is deceiving them, that is the munafiqeen. So that means to say that He is going to punish them in accordance with their kufr, whilst they are not expecting it. And He says when they stand up to their prayer, they stand up in a lazy state, as opposed to being enthusiastic, which is what the believer is. Yura'un an-nas, from ra'a yura'i mura'atan, to show off. They are just showing off to the people. That's why they're praying, not because they have any sincerity to Allah Jalla wa Ala. And then He says they do not remember Allah except a little. The dhikr of Allah Jalla wa Ala is with the tongue and with the heart and with the limbs. And the munafiqun do not have the dhikr of Allah except perhaps just a very little amount, which is insignificant. So reflecting on this ayah, we find obviously that the munafiqun are deceptive people, such that they even think that they are deceiving Allah Jalla wa Ala. We find that Allah Jalla wa Ala deceives those who are worthy of deception. So that the deception of Allah Jalla wa Ala is that He leaves the kafir and does not immediately punish him, so that the kafir thinks that he is doing nothing wrong and continues on with his kufr, indeed strengthening his kufr, until there comes the time or a point of no return where Allah Jalla wa Ala seizes him after this kafir has increased in his kufr. So his kufr has reached the peak, and so Allah Jalla wa Ala punishes him in accordance with the peak of his kufr. If He had seized him beforehand, his punishment would have been less, as his kufr would have been less. But the important point is that we do not say that Allah is the deceiver. Rather, we say that Allah deceives those who are worthy to be deceived, meaning His enemies. And deceiving your enemies is a good thing. From this ayah, we learn something about how to pray properly. In other words, do not be like the munafiqeen. So when you stand up for the salah, you stand up with enthusiasm and with energy and with purpose. After all, the salah is the purpose of your existence. And that you pray with sincerity, not because you want to show off or because other people are doing it and you just want to fit in. And that you remember Allah Jalla wa Ala much in your salah, on your tongue, in your heart, and on your limbs as well, where you have khushu' and tranquility in the salah, and you're not just praying hurriedly. So the believer must always pay attention to his salah and ensure that his salah does not resemble that of the munafiqeen. Ayah number 143. مُذَبْذَبِينَ بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ لَا إِلَى هَؤُلَاءِ وَلَا إِلَى هَؤُلَاءِ وَمَنْ يُضْلِلْ اللَّهُ فَلَنْ تَجِدَ لَهُ سَبِيلًا. Again, speaking about the munafiqeen, he says مُذَبْذَبِينَ, from ذَبْذَبَ, يُذَبْذِبُ ذَبْذَبَةً, which means to be swinging, or it could mean oscillating. So that is, sometimes they are with the kuffar, sometimes they are with the Muslimin. They do not themselves have a firm stand that they make, an unshakable stand. And he says, whomsoever Allah misguides, then you will not, O Prophet, find for him a sabil, a way, meaning a way to be guided. So reflecting on this ayah, we learn a trait of the munafiqeen is that they have no firm stance of their own. They are simply oscillating between the Muslimin and the kuffar, trying to appease both sides. We also find that anyone from the Muslimin who hesitates in accepting the truth when it is made plain to him, then such a person has a resemblance to the munafiqeen. It does not mean that such a Muslim literally is a munafiq, but he has a trait of the munafiqeen. But that in and of itself is a serious matter. We also take that Allah Jalla wa Ala alone is the one who guides and misguides. So if that is known, then we need to seek guidance from Allah Jalla wa Ala, and from Allah alone seek protection from misguidance, and have tawakkul on Him alone. هذا والله أعلم.